Welcome to Happy Times and Places, a positively inclined Doctor Who episode commentary podcast in which I, Toby Hadoke, drone on, but fortunately have a friend along to provide far more insightful thoughts and observations. Events occur in real time.
Hi Toby and Toby's listeners. My name is Kat Armitage, also known as Kat, and I am honoured to be asked to be part of Happy Times and Places, which is one of my favourite podcasts, so I'm very happy to be here. I am a child of the wilderness years, and very sadly I grew up with non-geeky parents, which meant that no one thought to introduce me to Doctor Who. It's a real tragedy. Until my little brother, and this is an excellent reason why little brothers are worth having, introduced me to Series 1, right at the end of Series 1 of the new reboot, I suppose it was, of Doctor Who. So my first Doctor was Christopher Eccleston in Bad Wolf. And then from that moment, a new timeline for my life emerged and everything changed, because then it became possibly an unhealthy obsession. So little brother's useful, also dangerous. However, the episode I have chosen for my Happy Time and Place is not an Eccleston, it's a Tennant. It's from Series 3 and it is 42. Now, this is an episode I think does not get anywhere near enough love. I think it's a fantastic episode. For me, it really captures the spirit of New Who, but maybe not even just New Who, of Doctor Who. It's people stuck in a place, hurtling towards some sort of horrible demise, but the Doctor and their friend turn up and they help everyone save the day. Of course, there will be casualties along the way, and lots of people will die horribly. Again, all part of Doctor Who. And simple things like, they can't get the TARDIS. There's no guns. As far as I remember, there's not really any guns. So everything has to be solved by ingenuity, invention, bravery, adventure. And everyone has their part to play in that. And I think for me, the whole episode, and why for me it's such quintessential Doctor Who, is summed up with the line the Doctor says, resources, think, what have we got? And that for me is Doctor Who. You're stuck in an impossible situation and you ask yourself the question, resources, think, what have we got? And from there you find a way to try and survive and get as many people out of it alive as possible. I also gotta love the reference to the late great Douglas Adams, 42. Turns out it's not the answer to everything. It is the minutes until you die. So I really hope you enjoy rewatching 42, Toby, and I will return to you with my favourite things. I should warn everyone now, you've probably worked this out, I'm a bit of a babbler, so apologies in advance for all the babbling, especially when I'm enthusiastic about something. But I'll see you on the other side of the episode.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Happy Times and Places, in which I've got 42 minutes in order to entertain you before this podcast goes crashing down in flames. I've got to get over myself because I should have finished this podcast by now. The denizens of Patronville are expecting a podcast to land about an hour ago, and I was late anyway. And I've decided to try and do some more new series ones. So, but that's another story. But anyway, I fired up the computer and it wasn't behaving, and I checked and it needed an update, and it looked like it was going to do it really quickly, and it's taken, I would say, at least 42 minutes to do a software update. So I could have stopped a spaceship crashing into the sun, won a pub quiz, and introduced a subplot for my next adventure, all in the time I've just been sitting here. For the first 50 minutes, sat here just watching it. I thought, well, I should do something. So I've watched a bit of MasterChef whilst waiting, because I couldn't do anything on my computer, because I've been writing my Quatermass book all day. I'm late with that as well. But I need to do these podcasts. You're all in the future, hopefully, by the time, if you're a non-patron, I will have finished my Quatermass book, and it will be out by the time you get this, because patrons are 6 months ahead. I'm not saying that to plug the patron, but I have inadvertently. But I'm just setting the scene because I haven't done enough new series because I'm a bit of a coward like that, because they're longer. Each episode is longer, and I worry about talking for, these are solo commentaries, really. You've heard from the lovely Kat Armitage, who is the reason I'm doing this episode, because she's a relatively new recruit, but I was so enthused by her enthusiasm for doing the podcast, and I listened to the intros just to make sure that the recordings have worked and I can play them back. I don't listen to the choices, and I was so enthused by her presence and tone and contribution and everything else, and I felt the need to do a new series episode, and I keep meaning to do. I've got The Woman Who Fell to Earth queued up and ready to go, but it's a slightly longer one, and I can't afford to do a longer one tonight. And I thought, well, I need to do something involving Chris Chibnall, because we've just said goodbye to him as showrunner, and I haven't done many of his. But that's partially because I don't know his era quite so well. But he's an important figure, and 42 is his first episode, and it's but it's a new series episode. Will I have anything to say? I know who all the extras are in in classic Doctor Who. I've got childhood experiences that probably this is 42 is May 2007, so it's as old now as actually Doctor Who was when I started watching Doctor Who. I started with a repeat of The Invisible Enemy. So 42 is pretty much on a par with where An Unearthly Child was when I started watching Doctor Who, which is absolutely terrifying. But I'm enthused by Catherine Armitage's enthusiasm. We don't know each other. But one of the things I like about doing this podcast is that, I've reached out to people who I thought will be, firstly, friends, but then I've realised a lot of my friends were sort of middle-aged guys like me. So I thought, I need to mix it up. I need to have different voices and different experiences. And, Kat gives off good and interesting vibes, and has interesting things to say. So I thought, well, let's reach out. And it turns out she's a listener. So thanks. And here she is. And as I say, I was enthused. So I have to do, because it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I have to do something that enthuses. I've got to try and feed off somebody else in order to make this work, because I need to get this stuff out. So welcome. I hope you will join with me to count down the 42 minutes between now and the end of this podcast, and let's see if we can find not 42 things, just 5, Kat and I, that we both like about this particular, and it has to be said, not hugely loved nor disliked, I would say. It's probably an episode that most people see. My general... My sense of the tenor of the conversation around 42 is that it's okay. I remember it being fine when it went out, but this was such a time to be a Doctor Who fan. It was, 3 series in, I was waiting for it to get disappointing or for something to go wrong. And actually, Doctor Who was on everybody's lips. Even the filler episodes had something about them. There was no filler episode ever. I remember reading about this in Doctor Who magazine, and it was saying, and the next episodes include 42, and we were well into 24, which I was looking up last night for no reason. I couldn't sleep, and I started looking up 24 on Wikipedia and realised how old that was. But that is now. But that was a TV phenomenon, and what a wheeze to go, well, Doctor Who episodes are 42 minutes long. 24 is a series that plays out in real time. Each episode is an hour long, and it plays out in real time, though they had adverts as well, so they could slightly cheat. But so in their hour, they were still only doing sort of 45 minutes of television, so the real time carried on over the adverts, which Doctor Who can't do here. But it's taken a current exciting television phenomenon from across the pond, which always has a little bit of excitement about it, which current Toby is sort of feeding off, because we've had the brilliantly monikered Jinx Monsoon premiering a costume that suggests that some aspect of Doctor Who might be getting a little bit camp. Who'd have thought it? Camp Doctor Who? Whatever next? And there's been a picture of Ncuti Gatwa and Vinnie Gibson looking very funky against a brick wall. Yeah, Doctor Who's pretty exciting, and it's feeling, but Jinx Monsoon is giving it the impression, anything. I always think of America as glamorous. I always think of if Doctor Who has a whiff of Americana about it, it just makes it a bit more sort of internationally respectable. Not that you'd ever want it to be 100% American, because its Britishness is part of it. But I don't know. I've always found America glamorous and exciting and out of touch, and out of touch for me, not out of touch. America's very much in touch. I'm not in touch. You know what I mean. So anyway. 42. I remember reading about it in Doctor Who magazine, and it just seemed, oh god, yeah. So they're doing it's a one-off episode. It's not part of an arc or anything like that, but it's got a selling point. Like all of the stories, it seemed at that time that every story has a headline. So you wait. We knew the big two-parter Human Nature Family of Blood, based on a much-loved novel, was coming up, and that's quite a big one for the Doctor. So, but this episode beforehand is, it's buying into the real-time thing. I love the fact that the title, is 24 backwards. That's just a lovely happy accident kind of thing. But there was also a film around this time, because they had to change the name of the spaceship, didn't they? The film is called Sunset, about a spaceship called, isn't it called the Icarus, falling into the sun, at pretty much the same time. And it's called, isn't it? Is it the SS Pentalion? The ship in this, after the Pentalion Drive, which is just off the Old Kent Road, but the Pentalion Drive in Revenge of the Cybermen. But of course, it's called the Icarus because, of course, Icarus, had the wings and flew into the sun. And I remember that story at school, being a great cautionary tale. Don't fly too close to the sun, or the wax in your wings will melt and you'll fall. It's one of those early stories that one is told. I remember I was at junior school, so I was tiny, but it always stuck in my mind. There's something about that sort of very simple story of, that simple cautionary tale. But of course, and in the film, Sunshine, from the same year, and isn't it? I remember my friend Mark calling it monkey nut theory. Is that there's only certain, when an event happens, there's only so many jokes you can tell about it. So some of them are going to be the same, and I suppose two storytellers at the same time come up with the idea of the spaceship flying close to the sun and go, well, I'll call the ship the Icarus. But of course, that is nominative determinism. It is quite unfortunate if and this doesn't happen in the Doctor Who, because I think it's called the Icarus in Sunshine, isn't it? So they had to change the name for the Doctor Who. But it begs the question: is if you don't want your spaceship to fly too close to a sun, don't call it the Icarus. I suppose it's also the same reason you shouldn't call your spaceship the Titanic. But anyway, let's don't name your spaceship after something that went wrong or someone that died. So let's bear that in mind whenever we christen any of our vehicles. So we are going to. I loved Kat's introduction. I was enthused by that, so enthused I've talked for 10 minutes before we've even started. So let us now press play. I'm on the old iPlayer because it's easier, even though I have it on shiny disc on my shelf. Let's press play on Doctor Who's Sunshine 42 in 3, 2, 1. I'm doing that thing now where I'm regretting saying all of that at the beginning, because I will not think of anything to say during this. So, gosh, I haven't seen some of these episodes for a while. I remember thinking this was okay when it was on, but I loved. But okay at this time was was still great. You know, Doctor Who was riding high. Being a Doctor Who fan was wonderful. There were no episodes during this period that I didn't enjoy. And I was waiting for things to go wrong because I'm a Doctor Who fan. But it was just such a thrill being a Doctor Who fan. But this was very much a sort of one of the episodes, one of the series, sort of average episodes, because the Lazarus Experiments come just before, which should have been right up my street because it's basically the Quatermass Experiment, isn't it? But a bit like the Idiot's Lantern, which is also a very Quatermassy one. They didn't deliver as much as perhaps I would have hoped they would, seeing as they have elements of Quatermass, which I'll keep saying because I've written a book about Quatermass. I love the heat of this. I love the lighting. You know, you can feel it feels quite grown up Doctor Who, having people who are, you know, sweaty and dirty and hot. And I've had sweat makeup for, what was it, for something I did. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, Casualty 1907. No, was it? No. Anyway, I've worn sweaty makeup. It's horrible. It's sticky. It smells not very nice, and it's not like sweat, which has a sort of cooling element to it. It's sort of tacky and bitty, and it's not very pleasant. But it looks great on screen, and all of these people look great. And the lighting, the orange lighting, the steam, the look at that lighting, the whole environment of this episode, you know, screams burning sunshine. And what a brilliant conceit. We're going to crash into the sun, and we're going to do it in 42 minutes. It's an episode of Doctor Who. It's 42 minutes long, and so we shall begin. Kapow! Brilliant. Superb. I love it. So this is, as I say, every Doctor Who at this time period has a bit of a headline about it. And I remember, you know, my feelings in the in the post-mortem of the series were that 42 had been okay, and that sort of feeling persisted, and then I think I had reason to watch again. Maybe it was post-COVID when I watched, or during COVID when I revisited this period quite a lot. But I've got a feeling it might have been earlier than that. When I watched 42, expecting it to be, to use the common parlance, meh. And I found it an absolute thrill. I found it, you know, the action increased. There was a cliffhanger every 5 minutes. There was a twist every 5 minutes. The energy of the storytelling or the nature of the jeopardy shifted a gear, or and I remember going, gosh, if this was an average episode from this time, the average of the mean average of this period of Doctor Who is extremely high. Chris Chibnall writing is very interesting for me because I know it's very easy for one to think that the universe centres around oneself, but my sister was at drama college in London, or at college in London, and did drama, and she designed the costumes for a stage version of the excellent play Bent, set in about gay persecution in World War II. Christopher Eccleston was in the original, very original production, but my sister's student production, for which she designed the costumes, starred a young man in the lead role called Chris Chibnall, and I always remembered his name. In fact, I think I've got a programme for it somewhere. And of course, then I'd see his name pop up writing under. I hadn't seen his name in association with Doctor Who, funnily enough, as a fan, because of course he did the open air and all of that. But I'd missed all of that stuff, so I didn't know about him as a fan of Doctor Who and that notorious open air appearance. I knew him as the guy who was at college with my sister who was in that play, and I'd remembered his name. And then I started seeing him sort of writing for television and stuff. And then I did think his name did get mentioned in association with Doctor Who somewhere along the line. And then I became aware of the open air and all of that sort of thing. But that was much, much later. So then he's writing for Doctor Who, and I'm going, I should have got to know, because I went to see that college production. We went to London to see it. But it's weird how, there's always some aspect of Doctor Who cramming itself into your life wherever you are. In fact, today as I got in, Rich, one of the denizens of Patreonville has messaged me to say that his uncle has just been doing the plumbing for Ray Cusick's daughter. And it's hard because it does, isn't it? It's because it's such a big sprawling thing, Doctor Who. It reaches everywhere. So Chibnall being part of Doctor Who seemed inevitable to me, because I'd sort of been in his vicinity and not become his best friend. So it was always, I saw, I bet he'll end up working on the show. I love. Now Graham Harper directs this. Now, well, hang on. One thing about this real time thing is, of course, it's such a cheat, because you can just stick the clock in wherever you like, and wherever you're up to in the episode is the time. So it's not actually as hard as it. As the surface conceit might make you think it is. Oh God, they've got to fit it all into exactly the right. Well, no, they just go. Well, we're this far into the episode, and we needed the clock up, so the clock should read this. But it doesn't matter. It's a lovely piece of storytelling magic where you can go. There's no. We can't cheat our way out of this. We can't do a montage or a cut or anything like that, and it gives an urgency to the storytelling. And if you want urgency, get Graham Harper to direct it, who is one of those directors who does action and pace very well, but also casts very well. And Graham Harper is such an enthusiastic man. And such I suspect I've never been directed by him, but a great man to have on the floor, and he's perfect for this sort of material. And as somebody who desperately wanted, when I was younger, Doctor Who to look like Alien, because Alien had sort of reinvented how you did spaceships, where people had jobs and people dressed not in spangly space gear but in overalls and that sort of thing, and didn't necessarily have space names. Doctor Who didn't catch on to doing sci-fi how Alien did it particularly well in its original iteration. It always felt a bit like it was trying to be glitzy, but on a light end, with light end flats, and multi-camera lighting. So when Doctor Who looks like this, I always get very excited, because it feels like a graduation to the sort of dirty sci-fi look that I thought would have made, say, Warriors of the Deep look much more impressive. Can you imagine, Warriors of the Deep with everybody this sweaty and not in the eyeshadow, but in fatigues and all of that? I've never quite been convinced by the pub quiz element of the plot. I have to say, it's quite fun, but it's stupid. Vinette Robinson as now, because one of the things that you would do when this period of Doctor Who was happening was you'd get the Next Time trailer, so that'd give you a bit of the next episode. I think I'd even time when if there was going to be a trailer, and there wasn't a trailer for every episode midweek, you'd kind of know when they'd appear. But you'd also get you knew you'd get a clip on Totally Doctor Who. And I'm sure the clip they showed on Totally Doctor Who was Abby Lerner getting killed. So you already knew from the first time you met her that she was toast, which is a shame, because she's Vinette Robinson's fantastic actress and has returned to Doctor Who playing Rosa Parks. So that's nice that she's got to come back and play a bigger role. I was shocked because she's sort of RP in this, isn't she? And she's obviously American in Rosa, but in Boiling Point, another real time. If you've not seen the film Boiling Point, it's Stephen Graham running a kitchen and a restaurant, and the battles between front of house and what goes on backstage, as it were, in the kitchen, and that is done in one take, in real time in one take, and I believe they did it. Did they do it 4 times in one day, and then maybe they did it 8 times? But anyway. It's a really good film. If you've ever worked in a kitchen, which I have, and front of house, which I have, it's a really accurate depiction of that world and the relationships between the different parts of the restaurant and the different members of staff, etc. And Vinette Robinson is in it. So she's specialising in real-time stuff. And she has a couple of moments where she's good all the way through, but she's got a couple of standout moments. It's a brilliant performance, and she's a terrific actress or actor. So now, there's no rules there. I know some female actors who like actor. My partner likes actor. And I know some who go, no, I'm an actress. So I've said both, because then I can be right and wrong. Grumpy Francine Jones there, I love. She's terrific at Joando. She's doing some great theatre work at the moment. I once stood up for her on a tube. I've seen her a couple of times. I was doing some rehearsals of a thing in London, and I'd seen Matt Smith inside the building, and then the next day she walked past the building. But I once stood up for her on a very crowded tube, and she said, "Are you sure?" And I said, yes, absolutely. And I was doing it to be polite, because I stand up for people on the tube. I didn't do it for her because she's in Doctor Who. I did it because it was really, really jammed and people were poking each other, and she was closest to me. And but that I worried. But of course I said, no, absolutely, of course you must. And I actually had the latest Doctor Who magazine in my hand, and I hope she didn't see it, because I would rather she went away from that experience going, a nice man stood up for me on the tube. So some bloody Doctor Who fan used standing up as an excuse to talk to me, because I genuinely had forgotten I'd got the Doctor Who magazine in my hand. So yeah, this was the bit that was shown on Totally Doctor Who. Harper's such a good director. He keeps the pacing of this brilliantly, and all the faces are so well chosen as well. Everybody looks kind of Gary Powell there. They all look sort of real, and I was thinking about Matthew Chambers, thinking, is he still in Doctors? He did a few episodes of Doctors. he's done. I think he's done like 18,000 episodes of Doctors or something ridiculous. So he's had a pretty good TV run. But yes, I remember poor old Abby Lerner gets zapped now, doesn't she? Which is pretty horrible. But this sort of storytelling is absolutely my cup of tea. You can find people in a space, you get to know them all, and they get knocked off one by one, because then you're guaranteed a dramatic moment every few minutes where you're either sad that somebody's died, or you're relieved that somebody's escaped from dying, or somebody you don't really like gets died, usually in a way appropriate to their miscreants. And those are the beats that I just sort of enjoy in storytelling. It's really odd, isn't it, that deaths are the sort of high point of drama. And that's really horrible. That sort of, and it sort of looks like her, that shadow. It's very well cast, this. Anthony Flanagan. I'm sure Russell said that when they got Anthony Flanagan for this part, Orin Scannell, they're all good names. The nomenclature is quite nice. When they got Anthony Flanagan for this, who been in Shameless, and he had his own show, didn't he? Where he was in the Cracker special, but he had his own show. And I used to see him a lot. He lives not far from here, or he did live not far from here. And I used to see him a lot in beer gardens and at Piccadilly Station, or sometimes at Euston when I'd come from Manchester. I went through a period where I'd see him almost every other week. I don't know him, so I never said anything. And I'm sure Russell said that when they got him for the part, they gave him a bit more to do, because they felt slightly guilty. They'd got such an actor of profile, playing a part that had not quite had as much to do. And what I quite like about this is he's a bit of a sort of spiky character. He's got a great face, and he's just been in Happy Valley actually. But Gary Powell's got a great face as well. They all fit, and they're all a bit stubbly, and they all and it feels, and that's sort of, see, and the weight of individual deaths in shows like this is what's really, really important, and you feel like they all know each other. Irina's now going to die because she's the one you don't really know the actor. It's Rebecca Oldfield, isn't it? Who is the niece of the fashion designer, photographer man, Bruce Oldfield. but she gets a sort of comedy, sort of, what's it? Does she say, please kill me now? And you go, oh, come on, that's a bit on the nose. But that's very sad because, although the please kill me now is a nice piece of sort of dramatic irony, if you like. I'm not sure I quite buy the Abby Lerner's just be killed and she's going, oh, I shall be grumpy about being told what to do in order that I say the line, please kill me now. I think there's a little bit of gymnastics to get that line into it, really, but I'm being nitpicky. I like the setup. I love the pace and the urgency. And the doctor saying, your husband's gone, there's no way back. I'm sorry. I have to be careful not to take Tennant for granted because he's so bloody good. And Michelle Collins, it was, again, when somebody like Simon Callow or some, venerable Thesp or somebody, who's done wonderful work at the National Theatre or whatever, gets cast in Doctor Who, that's when I go, oh yes, because that's very marvellous, and some actors are giving great credibility to Doctor Who. But Michelle Collins has had this amazing career, and Cindy Beale is a legend. And I remember seeing her on the trailer for this, where there was a coming up trailer that showed who was going to be in it and stuff like that. And you saw Michelle Collins, and I remember being really, really excited because she's the sort of person that everybody knows. Oh yeah, poor old. So he's gone now as well. Who everybody knows, and coming into this, gives it a credibility from another side, from sort of popular telly. But she presented The Word, and she's done loads of other television dramas. She's had a really interesting career, Michelle Collins. But she's also really nice, and she's one of those people that we sort of take for granted because she's been in so much. You go, oh, it's Michelle Collins. No, it's Michelle. It's just her again, isn't it? But actually, I could see, and in the few times I've been in her orbit, I've done a couple of things with her, and also she used to work with Shez, and so I know a tiny little bit, and she'd agreed to do Who's Round as well, but it didn't happen. I think she got busy. But I can see why. I could see when I met her, because she's got a very she's got a sort of every woman vibe as a performer. She's quite, she plays. She's not a demonstrative actress in that sense. She's a sort of every woman kind of performer, not one who you necessarily want to see doing different accents and different characters and blah blah blah. She's slightly different, and so you think, and she ends up being in loads of things. You go, oh, I wonder how. But then you meet her, and she has a real. She's got a real quality about her that is extremely likable, and she's actually sort of quite glam, but wears it very, very lightly. There's no sort of pretentiousness or status or anything. She's really, I don't know how to explain it. She's got good vibes. She's really likable. And I thought, I can see why people want to work with you. You're great fun, and a real pro, does the job. And she's done some stuff that for Doctor Who-y things. Like I did a commentary with her for Phantom Films. That she's a major TV star. They're not, they're not big gigs, but the Phantom Boys are lovely. But she did it because she was free and she couldn't. I think she'd just flown in from somewhere. She arrived in her sunglasses and spoke to everybody really nicely. Just no airs and graces. I'm a big fan of Michelle Collins. I can see why she works as much as she does. And as I say, her presence in this is great for the perhaps the sci-fi verse audience who goes, oh yeah, it's Cindy from EastEnders, or I think people know her as Michelle Collins now, and it sort of it brings the hard sci-fi stuff down to earth a little bit, because you haven't got somebody doing big space acting, which sometimes works with Doctor Who, the heightened performances and all of that some of the bigger characters sometimes need, some of the larger-than-life characters need. You need the opposite here. You need this very sort of down-to-earth crew of very ordinary people. So I think she's fantastic casting. She's a big mate of Phil Collinson's, which is you know, I suspect how she ended up in it. But I think she's an absolutely brilliant piece of casting. And I love this this dynamic that they have here, where the whole problem is that it's her husband who's the one that's, you know, been taken over by the alien, and as he's just said here, she's the reason this has all happened. I have to say, I mean, much as I like and I love those hero shots. Much as I love an alien with a catchphrase, you know, "burn with me," the story would all be absolutely sorted out if it just said, instead of saying "burn with me," oh, nice heroic moment from Orin Scannell there. Tennant's so good. Where instead of going "burn with me," it went "give us our bit of sun back, please," and then they could all go home. But I suppose you wouldn't have a story then. But you know, if it can talk, it's funny. I've just been working on my big chapter on the Quatermass experiment, and early on in Nigel Neal's drafts, Victor Caroon, who's a sort of monosyllabic and mumbling person because he's been taken over by this alien intelligence, doesn't say much, and they can't get much out of him, and the alien menace doesn't say anything at all at the end. In the early drafts, both are much more talkative, and you can see why Nigel Neal goes, no, because actually if they can say something, they can say everything, and actually a taken over person who's too chatty isn't very helpful for the believability or for the plotting. Now this is typical of Doctor Who at this period. You just think sort of everything's sort of got as disastrous as it can, and they've been doing their bit with the pub quiz and all this, but they've got into an escape hatch, and that suddenly becomes a bit more thing of jeopardy, and you've got the beautiful thing that they can't actually hear each other. And the Doctor saying, "I'll save you," because he will. But that brilliant shot of her pulling back, and it's just as you think you've got an angle on the jeopardy, and what the danger is that this spaceship's crashing into the sun, and they've got a monster on board. Well, now two monsters on board. Martha's now falling into space towards the sun in a different spaceship, and the Doctor's now got to get her back. So the story keeps escalating, which of course you need to have in a story that's set in the same place with no possibility of introducing new characters. And I remember that being a very pleasant surprise the last time I watched it, that the danger escalates. If you want your story to keep the pace up, you need David Tennant as your Doctor. He never drops the ball in terms of the energy required and the urgency. Nobody runs like David Tennant, but he's got that bite as well. Oh, and this is Will Ash. He lives round here too, so it's quite a northern. Obviously, they'd sort of gone, oh well, we'll to keep it sort of down to earth. Let's get a couple of sort of, recognisable northern actors as the spiky one and the nice one, essentially on the spaceship. Will Ash is a lovely actor and has done some great work. Shez knows him a bit and says he's a lovely fella. I've been in the same room as him, but in fact, I nearly plucked up the courage to go and speak to him once to ask him to do Who's Round, but I didn't in the end. And he was he was Stephen Delane's sidekick in The Tunnel, which was a lovely part for him. And he was in Where the Heart Is and stuff like that. Yeah, he's always been around. He's been one of those actors that if you work up here, certainly everybody knows. And I think his brother Peter Ash is his brother. So yeah, he's very well known up here, but I think he's a well-known face on telly now, isn't he? Will Ash. So yeah, lovely casting. And these two have a very, very nice rapport. She should have married him, not Mickey. But it's that, you know, this has done the very sort of clever thing of, well, not clever thing, but the useful Doctor Who thing of splitting splitting the Doctor and Companion up. And I like that, where he says call them, because it's that thing of, you know, if everybody thinks they're dead, which they essentially do, look at the lighting here is exceptional. And I love all this industrial stuff with those, you know, that plastic sort of concertina sheeting stuff that they go through, which is very industrial. But the lighting there is absolutely, you can feel the heat of the metal. Well, that's pretty horrible. Because it's not Ashton's fault. Oh dear. Was Ashton originally called Motta, but it was deemed to be too similar to Martha? I think that was a thing. And hooray for the orange spacesuits, which I wonder if they'll make a comeback now that. Well, in fact, they've never really gone away, have they? But yeah, I like the orange spacesuits. I'm sort of I'm comforted and nostalgic about them, even though I think of this as very new Doctor Who. But 2007, how can this be 15 years old? I find that absolutely terrifying. And Kat was saying, wasn't she, that she came to the series at the end of Christopher Eccleston's reign. Gosh. Oh dear. So Francine is unlike Rose's comedy mum. Francine is protective, doesn't really like the Doctor mum, which adds a dynamic that comes in very useful over this story arc. And that's the mysterious woman, isn't it? Who, because I think Bertie Carville's the mysterious man. Huge name, well-known actor Bertie Carville now is mysterious man in the Lazarus Experiment, and I think was then not available. And Elise du Toit comes in, but I've got a feeling, I remember talking to Colin Teague, who directs Last of the Time Lords and Sound of Drums, which she's in. I think he cast her, and then she's back cast into this because he'd said he'd cast her because she was a mate of a mate of his or something. But she'd been in Hollyoaks, hadn't she? And is in one of my favourite bits in Sound of Drums, which we'll get to when we do that one. But this is because you kind of buy this. This feels like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? And that's the beauty of Doctor Who. I mean, you always sort of know that they are, but genuinely watching this, it does feel like, but I got no idea how they're going to. And so Tennant gets to do a bit of actiony stuff. He's such a good actor. I've had the pleasure of seeing him on stage recently in Good at the West End. Shez took me for my birthday, and he was good is an understatement. And I love this piece of music. Dum 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 dum. I have to say, I listen to podcasts generally when I walk around the park, but I have listened to bits and bits of Murray Gold's music, and I've put this particular piece of music, is it called All the Strange Creatures, on a playlist, and I sort of wander around with it playing in my ears, pretending I'm charging about in some brilliant science fiction adventure. It is one that I find it a really sort of enthusing, dramatic, exciting piece of music. It's a triumph for Murray Gold, this piece of music, and I know it's a motif throughout the season, but I'd actually forgotten it was on this particular sequence. That's hot, isn't it, Doctor Who? But I mean, because can you imagine this without the music? I know some people think that the music of this era is too much. I love it. I have to say, I'm a big fan of Murray Gold, and I'm a big fan of the. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh yeah, and that's it. Because you think, okay, there's another climax. The Doctor has saved Martha, but then of course he gets infected, doesn't he? So just when you think, there's not long left now, we've just got to do the business of, winning the episode, as it were. Actually, the Doctor gets infected, doesn't he? So then there's another layer to the drama, and we know that everyone who has been got by the Sun Beast is toast. Yeah, that's see, and you go, suddenly, hang on. So you thought the climax was Martha getting sent into the sun. You've now got the Doctor taken over by the solar creature. And there's a nice little subtext here about plundering resources and blah de blah de blah, and sullying nature for profit and all of that. And I think Michelle Collins, you never dislike her, but it is all of her fault, and that's the great dilemma you want with a sort of guest character. They need to have a dramatic pull in the story for them, and you have to quite like them and care about what happens to them, and yet she is her cost cutting and greed or whatever has been the reason for all of this, but she's not a baddie, and I think all of that speaks very well of the drama and the characterization and the storytelling, and it's perfect for Doctor Who, and you think he's frozen, and he ain't, so he's going to come and give more oblique references to why the Sun alien is pissed off. I guess it's obviously learnt its communication skills from the TARDIS in The Edge of Destruction. Give them a series of vague clues rather than tell them what they've done directly. The pub quiz thing, as I say, I doesn't quite work for me. But it is quite a Doctor Who-y thing of going, we're in the far-flung future. We're on a spaceship, not a gleaming spaceship, which I like. I like the fact that it's a bit industrial and falling to bitsy. And maybe it would actually work better if it was, this is the best spaceship in the world, but we've got to solve its locks with 80s pop quiz, 80s pop trivia questions. So it is in keeping with Doctor Who, of the juxtaposition of the mundane and the trivial and the very British 80s pop music with the spacey and the strange and the dangerous, and so in theory it's a great call. I just don't quite buy it, and I don't know why, because for all the things that I say are good about Doctor Who that I've just summed up about it, it actually, there's nothing wrong with it. He's got fillings there, Doctor Who. I think I've only got one filling. I've had a few taken out there recently. Anyway, let's not get into that. But so what I got? And look at all that. Look at all that smoke and that heat. So I think if this is a sort of average. You know, it's not one of the big hitters of this season. I mean, you've got Human Nature, Family of Blood. You've got Blink. We've got that last two-parter. Although I remember that last two-parter, people were a bit disappointed with at the time. But again, it's all relative, isn't it? Because it was all it was all pretty hot. And yeah, I mean, I was tuning into a children's program, Totally Doctor Who, in order. I wasn't just tuning in. I still had video. I still had VHS at this time. I think I have Totally Doctor Who on VHS in a box upstairs. Or no, it was this season. I bought a DVD with a hard drive, a DVD player with a hard drive that you could record and then burn your own discs. So that's what I did. I burnt my own discs and made my own menus. And I thought, oh, this is how I'm going to have my collection. And of course, that technology got outdated fairly quickly. And anyway, I bought the DVDs themselves as well. And I think, because this is when I, this is when I this is when I was doing Moths at the West End. Yeah. Was it? No, this is 2007. No, it's not. So, oh, yeah. So it was around. So I certainly, you know, in the shadow of Moths Ate My Doctor Who scarf. But you know, I think I thought I would be making my own DVD covers, and I got a few templates, and I didn't mess around and stuff, but I gradually ran out of time to do that sort of thing. Now this is my perfect kind of Doctor Who scene, where the flawed central character, she acts this really well, I think, Michelle Collins. Oh, it's so sad, because she does love him, and she's lured him in there to die. She gets. Oh, see, I love a self-sacrifice. I am a sucker for a self-sacrifice. And the fact that that's so sad. And they get sucked out and they die. I'm a sucker for a self-sacrifice scene in Doctor Who. They make me. They just make me cry. I don't know why. There's something, and it's because actually death is usually, you know, actually not poetic and lovely, and it's usually ugly and horrible and pointless and all of that. But there's something about a noble self-sacrifice in Doctor Who that really speaks to me. It's the absolute stuff of my kind of drama. Tennant is so good at all of this stuff, and this is a great piece of music too. Is this the same one? Yeah. So the fact that, you know, dramatically Kath has to play with her life. It's just the rules of this sort of program, and yet she's never a baddie in the whole thing. But she's somebody that, you know, did the wrong thing, and because of her actions, lots of people died. So, you know, you can't have a backslappy ending and go, oh, well, thank goodness we sorted out those evil sun beasts that claimed the life of my husband and colleagues. You know, the writing's on the wall, if not your own death shadow. And these guys do a great job of this. They absolutely know how to do the the dramatic, the excrement's about to hit the fan kind of acting, and because they're not, because they've got a sort of genuine, again, sort of earthy northern working class thing going on. It feels, it feels much more grounded and real and urgent somehow, and they've given the sun back to the. Yeah, I mean, if it had been called Icarus, that would have been a little bit too on the nose, I think. The film Sunshine is very interesting, by the way. It gets a bit loony in the last quarter, but again, it's it's a similar sort of premise to this. It's quite arty, but it's got Benedict Wong in it, he's got to be in Doctor Who at some point. He's a fantastic actor. Yeah, give Sunshine a go if you haven't seen it as a companion piece to this. I think I prefer this. And there we go. And so the clock has run down. But it's a lovely premise, and it's a lovely wheeze for Doctor Who to have. And they've made it. But did I say I like the Orange Cat? Riley Vashti, isn't he? She's just Kath McDonnell, Abby Lana. So they're not necessarily all space names, and those that are spacey names are only slightly spacey names, but there's also non-spacey names in there as well. So I like the sort of I like the naming landscape. I like the way that Anthony Flanagan's very good, isn't he? And he looked like he was going to be one of those sort of annoying characters at the beginning, because you have a spiky one and a nice one, but actually there's a bit of light and shade to him. And I sort of thought he was probably going to die at some point, because those sorts of characters usually do probably, doing, having been a git for most of it, doing something brave at the end. So I'm glad they sort of bucked that trend. And these two boys, he's very handsome, isn't he, Will Ash? Yeah, but he's quite sweaty, isn't he? And it's a very odd thing to do. People do this in telly programs. They kiss somebody for the first time just before they're about to bugger off and never see them again. And you're like, and it's sort of like, normally when you kiss somebody for the first time, it's an indication that that's going to lead on to something else. It's not, here's what you could have won, you minx. Because if you give me a big smoochy lovely kiss and then say that's the last thing we're ever going to do together, I'm like, oh well, thanks a lot, Jim Bowen. He gives her the key in this, and this is what? How many episodes in? 6, 7? 7 episodes in. Was there a? There was, wasn't there? There was a trailer after this because Doctor Who was off for a week because of Eurovision. So there's a brilliant trailer. I think in the Next Time trailer, instead of it being a trailer for next week, it's a trailer for the rest of the season. And again, it just felt like you're in the middle of the season. It's suddenly, and you've just had two sort of, not filler episodes, but not as big headlines as some of the other episodes. Lazarus Experiment 42. Then it's going, but this season's about to really kick in, and but you have to wait for a week after Eurovision. And I remember that the fortnight between this episode and the next one seemed really unnecessarily long. He's sitting in the middle of a massive gap between Doctor Who's. I like the mysterious woman. I think she's mean and creepy. And she does a good, mean, creepy smile. So I think the trailer on this, is not the trailer that we got on the original transmission. I think we got a trailer that was for the rest of the season. Is that right? Or have I made that up? Maybe I've made that up. Oh no, because I remember all of those bits. Oh. Yeah, no, I remember that. So maybe... Oh. I can't... But I'm sure... Well, look, you can... This isn't a factual podcast. You can look that up. But I'm sure there was Eurovision the following week. So we did get a trailer going... Doctor Who's coming back in 2 weeks. And there's going to be... few more exciting things than one single episode. Look at how beautifully slowly these credits go. I can read. I can zoom in on the names or the jobs that I want pretty easily. Anyway, I need to choose now 5 things about 42 that I really like. So, well, one is the wheeze. I love the wheeze. I love the fact that it's 24 backwards. I mean, that was so exciting at the time. It just seemed that Doctor Who was doing the sort of thing Doctor Who should be doing, and the fact that the title enables it to, and the running time of Doctor Who enables the title to be 24 backwards, it's just one of those wonderfully happy things. And the countdown of a story in real time, even though it's a bit of a cheat the way that it's done, and it's not really in real time because there's a time jump after the credits, and of course it runs down to 0, and then they have the coda after that. Doesn't matter. I think it convinces you it is what it is, and it gives it that lovely pace, and it's a literal countdown. I think it's a great wheeze. So that the central conceit. 2. I think it has to be, the presence of Michelle Collins, that character, the fact that it's her fault, the fact that she loves her husband, the fact that she does a bit of self-sacrifice, the fact that she's not a baddie and yet she's responsible for it all, and the fact that it's Michelle Collins for all sorts of different reasons that just, I think, really work, and is one of the things of modern Doctor Who that I really enjoy, because as I say, it's my taste to sort of go, we have this classical actor lending credibility to Doctor Who, but a recognisable, underrated. All of our popular actors really are underrated because we take them for granted, and we go, oh, it's Michelle Collins, she's in everything. Yeah, well, there's a reason for that, and it's because they're really good, and those actors actually often don't get stretched because they often told up to sort of turn up and kind of be themselves, and so seeing them in a science fiction environment, it's always nice to see an actor out of where you usually see them, but also she then brings a recognizability that helps to ground the strangeness and the science fiction as well. So it works both ways. So Michelle Collins, Catherine Long. I would have to say the sort of lighting and the heat, all that steam, all that industrial, the feel of the whole thing. I love that. Yeah, the whole industrial feel. So all that metal of the ship, but the way that it is lit, particularly, and the heat that you can feel, the sweat on the actors, that the grime in their hair. Brilliant. And I know that is uncomfortable. It's horrible. I have to say, I think probably summing up of that shot of Martha falling away, because I think I remember when it happened being quite surprised that it had happened. I thought he'd get there in time, and the fact that it's an escalation, because the whole thing continues to escalate as it goes on, and as I say, and then the Doctor gets infected, and it's it is confined to one place. It does have one set of characters, but there's like a cliffhanger every 5 minutes. That's one of the real strengths of the Russell T Davies era, is that very few of the stories coast. There's a driving energy, and Harper deserves credit for that as well, because I know he's that kind of director, and you can see it on the footage of Doctor Who Confidential, where he's sort of like, lots of energy, please, lots of energy, keep it, and that's absolutely what you need. But this is more the storytelling terms, as I say, summed up by Martha falling back in that capsule, and the fact that she can't hear the Doctor, and he mouths, I'll save you, which is brilliant. And that's all the sort of heart-wrenching sort of, the bond between our two heroes stuff that the modern series does so very well. And Tennant is really, really good at that stuff. And Freema Agyeman's brilliant in this episode as well. I think she's underrated, isn't she? But yeah, that shot of Martha, I think, is a dramatic moment, and the way that the drama escalates and the story never really treads water. It keeps introducing another element, whether it's that Ashton is not killed, he's taken over, so suddenly there's two monsters, and Martha's the escape path. You think Martha's just going to spend the whole thing answering pub quiz questions. No, she's then falls away. Then she has to speak to her mother, and then the doctor gets taken over, and then but it's so the layering of the storytelling. And now I think for the last one I have a dilemma. Do I go David Tennant's, mental battle at the end? Mental and physical battle, which is so good. He's so good at that stuff. And the energy that he gives to the show, the drive. And that he's got a sort of cussedness as well, that clenched teeth as he battles against, heat, danger and discomfort and time. He never lets that energy up. I think I might have convinced myself. The other thing was going to be that piece of music. And I was thinking, well, I can choose that for any other episode. But this is the episode Kat's doing, and she might love that piece of music. And I love that piece of music. But I'm going to choose Tennant because I too often overlook the regulars, I think, and Tennant, I think, does brilliantly with that stuff at the end where he's taken over. So them's my 5 things. What are Catherine Armitage's 5 things? I have to find the folder, and here we are. So Catherine's 5 things about 42. Oh, yeah, and I hadn't even noticed the Douglas Adams thing. Do you know what I mean? Because I think 24 was so, present and prominent. I've never really thought about the fact that, 42 is also the meaning of life in Douglas Adams's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And of course, Doctor Who is kind of the meaning of life for me. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, if you don't think Doctor Who is the meaning, it's pretty much there for you as well. I mean, watching it is understandable. This, anyway, Kat.
So my first favourite thing about 42, and it took me a while to narrow these down because there's really is so much I love about it. But my first favourite thing, and this might be my favourite thing overall, is how sweaty everyone is. Bear with me before everyone accuses me of being really gross. What I can't stand in any television, but particularly science fiction, is when people's makeup is perfect or they're running around in high heels or like all this ridiculous stuff. It's just not, it's not real. So I love the fact that in this, they're heading towards the sun, so everyone gets sweaty and dirty and they take off their jackets and they look like they're about to boil like lobsters. And I just think that's fantastic. And I watch it and I can feel the heat. I absolutely hate it when it's too hot. And this, I feel uncomfortable watching it in the sense of it's visceral and it really gets you. And it just sells the whole idea of it brilliantly. And it makes me feel that everyone involved is just so much more human and so much more real. I just wish more science fiction would kind of listen to the human body, I suppose, and just think about what things are, actually like to experience and let us, the viewer, into that.
Do I get a point for that? I mean, it was part of my, the heat and the lighting, but I did mention that people were sweaty and grimy because that is one of my favourite things about it, and I think I mentioned it very early on in the commentary, didn't I? That yes, and I know how uncomfortable that fake. I'd call it theatre sweat, but it's not because it's TV sweat. It shows how anchored we still are in the ancient arts. It's theatrical blood, even though it's used on television. But it's theatrical sweat. That manky, tacky, blah blah blah. It's horrible. It really is. And it's true. And I too it really angers me. Well, it doesn't, but when people wake up in bed next to each other in television programs and their hair is, really neat and smart, and people have to look a certain way on television, even television that most television, we don't have theatrical television anymore. We've turned our back on that and said no, everything has to be realistic looking and plausible. You go, okay, well, I'll buy that, even though I quite like the some of the artifice of older telly, where you can still get pure emotion and thought and all of that sort of thing, even though the settings are slightly more abstract or require a bit more goodwill from the audience. But okay, I'll accept the modern thing that everything has to look real and everything has to look gritty and and plausible and not artificial. Sets aren't allowed to look like sets; they have to look real and blah blah blah. But how come beautiful people can wake up looking beautiful? So all this drive for everything being realistic, because telly has to be realistic, except for when it comes for body fascism and the propagation of the physiognomical ideal, in which case, oh no, we'll throw realism out the window, and it can only be beautiful people who even have to look beautiful when they've woken up in the morning after that sex scene we did the night before, which has to be realistic. So we have to show lots of this, that, and the other. But we can't show somebody with scruffy hair. So I'm with Kat on that one. So I feel I should get a point for that, I think. Let's see how the rest of it goes. It's moments like this when I think, well, I hope I get all the other ones wrong then, because then at least there's no quibbling with the result. It's not like some close election where I have to concede and then have to phone up and withdraw my concession. Let's see what else she's choosing.
So my second favourite thing, and this is quite a big thing, Toby, you might accuse me of trying to have all of my 42 and eat it, but is Martha coming into her own. Like, this is such an important episode for Martha. She starts this series hopelessly in love with the Doctor, and because of that she's kind of disempowered, and she's really down on herself. She's like feels inadequate compared to Rose, which is really clever because, frankly, that's how a lot of people viewed Martha when she came along, very unfairly, because everyone missed Rose. So to have the character actually feel that inadequacy. But then in this episode, she comes into her own. First, we get her phone upgrade, frequent flyer's privilege. And then really early on, she saves Ashton and, so she's active, she's doing things. And then she gets saved by the Doctor, but then she saves the Doctor back in return. And that, for me, establishes the equality of their relationship. Okay, it's not equal. The Doctor is amazing and Martha is amazing, but she's ultimately still just a human like us, mere viewing mortals. But it's as equal as it's going to get with the Doctor and their companion. And I just love that about that. Then really crucially, there's the kiss. So I know you are not a great fan of kissing in Doctor Who, Toby, but this is Martha kissing. It's not the Doctor kissing. And she kisses, who is frankly quite a cute guy that she's had a life or death situation with. And it's not about him. I don't think she really fancies him, but it's about her letting go of her crush on the Doctor. It's about her moving on. And this is the beginning of her doing it and kind of asserting herself and her personality and her power. And it's such a simple little moment, but I think it says so much. And then from that, the Doctor gives her a key to the TARDIS. It's like he knows that she's ready to step up, that she's not just going to be following him around hoping for some crumbs of affection. No, she's herself now, and she's with him because she wants to be, not just because she is in love with him. So I think that's really, really important. And I imagine lots of people really don't like that. I think I didn't like it at the time when she says, very hot and goes to stars. But I love that line actually, because although we don't see it on her face because she's playing it cool, it's the type of thing that people can say and then afterwards you go, oh, why did I say that? And I just think it's hilarious and sort of adorable. So she's not, probletely all sorted and all powerful. She's still a bit of an awkward idiot, like we all are.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel I probably didn't say enough about Martha this week, partially because I don't like to dwell too much on the pub quiz. I don't know why the pub quiz locks, but she actually gets much more to do in the episode than I sort of think about when I think about the episode. Where, as I say, it's like she gets stuck with Will Ash doing pub quiz, doesn't she? No, she gets the bit where she gets stranded in the pod and then she has to call her mum. And yeah, she has the agency within where she's proactive at the beginning and she saves the Doctor at the end. So it's a great episode for her. And I like her reaction to the kiss as well. And do I not like kissing in Doctor Who, Kat? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't mind it if it's somebody with a guest character. I mean, again, part of me feels it's quite an odd way to leave somebody forever. But I think it's that I don't come to Doctor Who for romance, maybe because you get that in all of the other shows, and Saving the Universe to me is much more interesting than that. But I like it when characters strike up a nice relationship and rapport, and those two, and Riley is a lovely character, so that's good. And I don't know. I didn't. It's funny. I don't. Do I have a reputation? I know I don't have any reputation, but obviously Kat has listened to a lot of these and has come away with the impression that I might be a bit of an old prude. I mean, I'm not wild about. I am a bit of a prude, but I wouldn't want any, rumpy pumpy in Doctor Who. But I don't mind a kiss. I don't want the Doctor kissing people because, again, I think the Doctor is sort of slightly detached from all of that, and I think is much more interesting detached from all of that. I don't mind a bit of a will they or won't they, so long as it's always won't. Just because I also think it slightly sullies the Doctor if the Doctor is prone to all the same drippy stuff that we are. Again, when you've seen the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe and everything in between, having a wobbly lip about somebody who wants to seems to me a bit in the school playground. And as I say, I go to Doctor Who to escape from all of that. And as somebody that didn't do a lot of romancing in my youth, I liked it that my favourite programme didn't remind me of that or have that placed as an ideal or a thing that heroes did or anything like that. I liked it that my hero didn't do any of that stuff, so it didn't remind me of the fact that I wasn't as fortunate in that department as I might have liked to be. But I don't think I ever mind the companions doing it. I sort of almost think it's I'm used to companions falling in love with somebody they met 5 minutes ago. I mean, that Martha and Riley are positively sizzling compared to Leela and Andred, and all the better for it. But anyway, yes, I take your point, and very nicely put about Martha. I'm glad that she has an advocate there.
My third favourite thing about this episode, and again, my instinct tells me it's a thing that lots of other people don't like, but I adore it, is the pub quiz to open the doors. Yes, so brilliant. I mean, it's completely silly, completely daft, but what I love about Doctor Who is the combination of utter seriousness, like a morally questionable crew, and they're hurtling towards the sun, and her husband is dead, and her crew are dying, and we've got a pub quiz in the middle of it. I just think that's brilliant, because that's life for me. I can't stand dramas that are too serious. Life is always laughter at the most inappropriate, ridiculous times. And I can completely believe this idea of the pub quiz, because I've done similar things. I've done set up an account for something and it goes, memorable question, and I don't know, I'm tired. Maybe I've had a couple of pints and I put, oh yeah, my sister's first pet. I come back to it. I have no idea what that was, what I wrote. I mean, I know what her first pet was, but I don't know what I was thinking at that moment. So for me, there's something just really ridiculously real, actually, about that, which I think is the opposite of what most people feel. And then it leads to one of the best moments ever. I think lots of people have said this, and I think it probably is maybe a Russell moment, although I don't know, because Chris does just great family moments as well. But where she phones her mum for the answer, And her mum, of course, is wanting to talk about other things, and her mouse isn't connected. And my God, my mum would be that person. If I phoned her, it's like literally my life is on the line, and she'd go, yes, yes, yes. Oh, did I tell you what Sandra was saying the other? No, Mum, please focus. Look this up for me. And there's just something so truthful and wonderful about that little moment. And of course, her mum thinks it doesn't matter. It's just a quiz question.
Yes, in fact, I remember ringing my mum, and she was wanting me to talk her through doing something online, and I was saying, okay, right click on that, and she was going, I'm doing that. I'm going, well, then it should be showing you that, and she was going, well, it's not. And I said, okay, go back, right click on that. She said, I that's what I keep doing. And I said, so what are you doing? She said, well, I'm writing click. And so when she was supposed to be right clicking on something, she was typing the word click. She was putting the cursor over where I was telling her to, and then typing the word click, because she thought that's what right click meant. So yes, and I think I was distracted or talking about something else when they were having that bit with Francine, where she's on something else, and they're very patiently trying to get her to answer the pub quiz question, which is very true and very funny, and that very good Doctor Who-y thing of having somebody with very sort of earthly, trivial concerns juxtaposed with people, juggling life and death at the end of the universe. And during the commentary, I was sort of trying to enunciate why the quiz didn't quite work for me, but, balancing that with why I thought it was quite a Doctor Who thing. And as I was enunciating, it's the positive aspects of it being, a down-to-earth, slightly silly, blah-de-blah-de-blah, to punctuate all the highfalutin drama. I sort of talked myself into liking the pub quiz in theory, and Kat, I thought, was a very eloquent advocate for it, and I couldn't disagree with any of that advocation. But in practice and in experience, it still doesn't quite land for me, even though I totally buy and understand and agree with all of the points that Kat and indeed I made in its favour. So sometimes it's just what sits with you and what doesn't, because I've got no good reason to really no better reasons than the reasons I have for saying it's a good idea that I gave and that Kat has given. So isn't that funny? Sometimes it's just what fits you and what doesn't. I think there's not going to be a photo finish here, folks.
My fourth favourite moment, sorry, I'm babbling. I warned Toby, I warned you I would babble, so it's happening. But my fourth favourite moment is actually a moment. So I don't know if you might get this, Toby, is the moment of remagnetising the escape pod. Again, loads of reasons why I love this. I love the Doctor in a spacesuit. I mean, I know it's not the spacesuit, but it's still a good spacesuit. I don't know why I love the Doctor in a spacesuit. It just feels cool. I think it's because usually they're always in like quite human clothing, really, but a bit odd. And then suddenly it's like, no, this is space. You're actually out there. I think maybe it brings the danger home a bit more. I don't know. But anyway, so you got the Doctor in a spacesuit, and then leaning out the window, and it's been sold to us how hot it is. Leaning out the window? No, you know what I mean. Leaning out the thing, and we know how hot it is. Like that's been sold to us by how sweaty everyone is. So we believe that this is agony. This is dangerous. And then there are so many stages to the bloomin' remagnetization, which is so tense. I remember the first time I watched it. Like he presses one button, you're like, oh, he's done it. Oh no. And he has to press another button, which is even further away. Okay, now he's done it. No. So then he goes for a lever thing. And you think, okay, it's the lever, it's fine. But that's just the cover to the lever. And then he has to do the lever. And he does it with this sort of like this huge pain. And you just know it's gone too far. Like it's worth it because he gets Martha back. But oh my gosh, it's gone too far. And actually then when he comes and he looks at the sun, he sees it's alive. And that's just such a great moment and such a cool shot.
Yes, well, I mean, that is a really exciting moment. And it's one of those moments that would be if you think of the similar moment in Four to Doomsday, where obviously they're slightly scuppered by the technology. But but it's a bit sort of, it's a slower procedure, and it's still ingenious and quite clever, but it's, you've got to be quite forgiving of it in execution. Whereas in that is, it's exciting, and it's got pace, and it's got energy, and it's got the heat, and as Kat said, it's got the different procedures, and it's just and it's nice because it's not a in one bound they're free. The Doctor has to go through a bit of, and it's not just, this is just killing time. It's a bit of false jeopardy for the episode, because it gives an escalation to the storytelling, because the Doctor stares into the sun and gets infected, and so there is a consequence to his action. It's not just, he's been brave and he's done the thing, and now Martha's back on board. It leads to the next level of the storytelling as well, which I think is very clever. It's so it's so well put together in that regard, is that nothing is bought cheaply, and everything moves escalates the story and moves it along. And it's also a really well done sequence. And again, of the sort of special effectsy kind of sequence that we kind of take for granted and take in our stride these days. And yet, if you think about it, the budget that Doctor Who has, and compared to what the Doctor Who I grew up with, this stuff, this is astonishing stuff. And it's, and it's not even the money shot of the episode, really. Great stuff.
And then my fifth favourite thing, which I kind of did these in a weird order. I think I just did them in order of what they popped into my head. My fifth favourite thing is the monster itself. Doctor Who Daleks aside, pretty much the monsters always work best when they're humanoid. I guess because that's the thing that we can do the best, and we can make it feel real but also feel strange. And this is such a simple monster. It's a person in a helmet saying "burn with me." But for me, it's really scary. And a few things I love about it, like the twitchy hands that they do. I don't know why that freaks me out, but it really freaks me out. I think it's just that sort of thing of like a monster sort of itching to get hold of you, itching to get the life from you is freaky. And I also love the fact that the helmet obscures the face, so it makes the monster other and strange. But you can still see the jaw and the neck of the person who it once was, and it gives you a sense of that lost humanity and who they were. And you can really see the actor performing the words as their mouth moves, and for some reason that really adds a whole element of unnervingness to the monster. There's also a very interesting thing about this monster, and apologies, I'm going to get a bit serious here. This is a monster that is created from pain and fear. This living sun has had parts of it scooped up and turned into fuel. And then it becomes this force of absolute destruction, pure rage, vengeance, violence and aggression. And it's very interesting that this force, this monster, in the story, it kills the female characters and it infects the male characters. Now, this is just my reading of this, but I can't help but wonder if that is trying to say something about that very, very, and we're talking, the real extremes, the real dark underbelly of society, but the extremes of aggression and violence, and how it can destroy us, how it can destroy humanity, and what it does to us. And it just creates a really thrilling, terrifying monster. And then, of course, it gets the Doctor. And that is terrifying because the Doctor is so often, and this is so often plumbed in Doctor Who brilliantly, is the scariest person in the room, really. Because if the Doctor goes off their kind of moral compass, there is no telling what they could do. If they can defeat all of those baddies, if they turn, we're not safe. No one's safe. Our hero is gone, and the demon is something that usually defeats all the other demons. And I love how scared Tennant plays that moment. He knows exactly how dangerous this is. And, he tries to tell Martha about the regeneration, and, she's just trying to reassure him, and he can't quite get it out. And that, for me, is genuinely chilling and freaky. And then, I love the solution to the monster. It's a living sun burning inside you. We either freeze it out, brilliant, makes total sense, or actually we just jettison the particles, we send it away, we banish it from us, and we make this place safe again. And again, I think you could read into that actually about what that says about violence and aggression and the need to destroy. And is there a way that we can just send it away? And like, we know it exists, we can't stop it existing, but is there a way we can just put it over there and we don't have to engage with it? We don't have to let it infect us. So maybe I'm going way too deep into what is essentially a fun race against time with a pub quiz, but that's what I see in that moment. So those are my top 5 things. I really hope that you got some, Toby, and I hope you're nice to yourself. Be generous to yourself with the scoring, because I often think you're too hard on yourself, and actually give yourself a break. Let's have a few wins in there.
Oh, I like Kat. What I haven't much to add to that because it was so well put. I mean, I touched on that, didn't I? But I touched more on the performance of David Tennant. I don't know why I didn't talk about the twitchy hands. I think the twitchy hands are great. I think I was probably wanging on about something totally unrelated. What a surprise! I don't normally do that. But it's the ideal Doctor Who monster. It's a person in a mask. It's an actor who you don't have to put any makeup on. But you have the removal of the humanity because you have the sun visor mask thing. Such a simple thing, bit like the gas mask child. It's a although we recognise a gas mask and that brings baggage with it, I don't recognise that sort of sun visor mask thing. But it's of a type of thing. But it takes away the human face. But as you say, as Kat says, there's you see the neck and the Adam's apple and the movement of the chin. So that's always the scariest, isn't it? It's something that's a sort of cruel parody of ourselves and of humanity, and you could do that just by removing facial expressions, which give us at least, if you could see somebody's nose, then there's at least an element of them that isn't scary. Who's scared of a nose? But which is why the Gravis never really frightened me. But I think that's absolutely right. And Doctor Who is at its best when it's solving its problems of being a big epic sci-fi adventure made on BBC money, in record time. You go, right, well, the monster's going to be that actor who was playing a person, but stick a mask on and basically give him a catchphrase. And I've sort of mocked the catchphrase because, if it can talk, why doesn't it just explain what it wants? But and there are reasons you can come up with for that. Well, it hasn't quite assimilated the language well enough. It doesn't have enough of our language in which to do that. So it's trying to suggest it, and also there's a filter through which alien intelligence tries to communicate with us, and it's not the same as having a conversation, etc., etc., etc. But still, it amuses me to go, well, if you can go burn with me, you can go. Here is the solution to our impasse. Which isn't quite as catchy. You won't. I think you could see Stephen Moore go, shall I say, are you my mummy? Or shall I say, I have the solution to my impasse? Impasse. But listen, Kat, I thought that put that very, very well. And yes, the very simple, nothing is simple when you're making Doctor Who. So, it's simple within context. The very simple way that creature is rendered, actor with a welding mask on, and yet it becomes this really scary, inexorable, seemingly unkillable, unstoppable threat whose power escalates throughout the episode, and all it is an actor with a welding mask on and a catchphrase. And a couple of, the twitchy hand thing, a couple of movements, some glowing eyes, boom. Very, very good. Perfect for Doctor Who. So, I should have chosen that. Rather than something as abstract as the way the storytelling escalates. I'm sorry, Kat told me not to be hard on myself. I find it very difficult not to be so. Well, I'm very pleased I pulled Kat forward in the schedule. And I'm enthused by Kat's contribution. I'm very enthused. And I'm very pleased with all of the things that she said. And now I am going to play the plug where Kat plugs her wares.
So, thank you so much, Toby, for having me on this wonderful podcast, which always makes me smile and feel so happy and part of a community. All those things that I just love about being a fan of Doctor Who. If people are interested in knowing more about me, not knowing more about me, but seeing my work, I'm Katharine Armitage. That's Katharine. Weird spelling of my name, blame my parents. Armitage, like the Sinks, Armitage, or Richard Armitage, Rassilon, hey. And my first story was called Displaced, which was a 7th Doctor Ace and Hex story, which even though it was my first script, I remain very proud of that one. So please do check it out. And I'm paired with the wonderful Jarrett Arrowsmith as well. So do check that out if you're interested. I've also written a couple of Blake Sevens, which is another love of mine. I had a Unit 1 come out last year, and I have a Star Cops coming out this year, and hopefully some of my other Doctor Who's will be coming out in the near future. So just have a look at that. I also have written a play about the fantastic, amazing, innovative Delia Derbyshire. We've only done a work in progress performance so far, but I'm hopeful that we will be bringing it and touring it around the country. So it's called Delia D. It's not entirely about Doctor Who, but inevitably there are quite a lot of Doctor Who elements in it. So that probably won't be around this year, that's 2023, but we're hoping to get a tour going in 2024. So if this comes out before then, do look out for that. And I also have a podcast, which I do with my flatmate. We are the opposite of Toby, who does all these amazing episodes. We have done 4 episodes at time of me recording this, but we're hoping to start it up again. We both just got stupidly busy with work, but I'm currently editing our 5th episode, and we're hopefully going to bring that out soon. And it's called Scaredy Cat, Cat with a K, and that is basically my flatmate, who's a massive horror nerd, showing horror films to me being a scaredy cat. Like, Doctor Who genuinely scares me, so I'm a wuss. And then we record my reactions and we chat about it. So yeah, if you want more babbling from me, you might enjoy that. Or if you love horror and you want to hear my flatmate being quite scathing about my ignorance and what he views to be a very wrong opinion sometimes, you might enjoy that also. I am on Twitter, but I'm rubbish. I don't do anything, but I am on Twitter at KS Armitage, but I mainly just retweet things that make me laugh, and occasionally I'll say, hey, I've got a big finish out, so that might be useful for some. Thank you so much for having me and for listening to me babble, and hope everyone's doing well. Bye.
Well, I am thrilled that I reached out to Kat, who has made me very happy with her enthusiasm. It's probably because she was nice about this when I asked her to do it. She said, listen, I like it. So it's probably vanity as much as anything else. But it's nice that to feel relevant. Again, that because the stuff I talk about, I'm sure probably chimes with people of my age and my experience. It always makes me a bit happy if people who aren't my age and have had different experiences also find something useful in my rambling and burbling. But mostly I'm thrilled that somebody eloquent and articulate and successful and skilled comes and contributes to this in such an enthusiastic way. So I am very happy. I hope you are too. I hope you are too, Kat, when you hear this. And that, you could tell she this because she said, I'll mention 2024, but just in case this comes out after that, because I've been out tonight, which is why one of the reasons I'm so late. And one of the people I met up with, because I had a curry in Salford with Chris Howarth and Steve Lyons, amongst others. And Steve Why am I mentioning Steve? Oh, because who writers of the Completely Useless Encyclopedia, and Steve has written. I've read most, if not all, of Steve's new adventures, Salvation and the Witch Hunters, the Salem, the Crucible one, which is really good, and the one with the Master of the Land of Fiction in Conundrum. But Steve recorded for me about 2 years ago his thoughts on the Censorites, and I love Steve's writing. I'm desperate to hear Steve's contribution because he's a wise, witty, and insightful man. But I've yet to do the Censorites, and as I say, he recorded that a good couple of years ago. So Kat was perfectly within her rights to think that this might not come out for years. But I needed to do this one. I needed to just do what I wanted tonight, and I thought I'll do that one. I liked Kat's introduction when she sent it to me on the email, and I tested the sound, and I thought, I look forward to that one. So tonight, when I had to produce a podcast very quickly and without thinking about it too much, this is what I did, and events occurred in real time, and I'm pretty much this is going to go live to patrons pretty much as soon as I draw a veil over proceedings. So I mean, it's very much in real time. But the rest of you, I mean, gosh, by the time you hear this, Doctor Who might actually be back on telly, because just a reminder that patrons are 6 months ahead on Happy Times and Places. So if you want to listen to this 6 months ago, go there. That really is a time twister. But until then, thank you very much for listening. And we managed to make that. Oh, I'm just looking at the thing, and it was an hour and 42 minutes. So we lasted an hour longer than the episode of Doctor Who we actually did. So there's perhaps something to be said for putting a time limit on these, lest it makes you want to crash into the sun.
I think you'll find. I think you'll find.
I think you'll find.
I think you'll find.
And of course, you were all yelling in my general direction. I don't know where you think I am. In the internet, in the sky. Well, I'm not in the sky, but I suppose if you yell up, it will eventually land on me. I think you'll find. It wasn't at the end of 42. It was 42 that we missed out on a trailer for. So I was nearly right. I knew 42 was something to do with it. And I was convinced. And then that trailer for Human Nature, I was going, I know that. But I remember that at the end of the episode, it had Jared Horan as the farmer going, give us the doctor or whatever, from Human Nature. And it was, and then into a whole load of clips from all of the stories. And it was at the end of the Lazarus Experiment, the story prior to 42. So we missed out on a trailer specifically for 42. So, I was in the right ballpark, but I was a week late. That's, ballpark and a week late. That's a mixed metaphor, isn't it? Well, no, a week late isn't even a metaphor. There's no metaphor there. Never mind the metaphors. Let's just have just the facts, which are that there was an extended trailer. I remembered that correctly, but it was the week prior to 42. It was at the end of the Lazarus Experiment, and so we missed out on a trailer for 42. But that has been reinstated on the physical media and presumably on all the iPlayers and all of that. Well, I guess I'll find out when I get to do the Lazarus Experiment, and I can make all these claims again, but I shall do so correctly. Nobody's chosen the Lazarus Experiment yet, though, so it might be in several decades' time. Thanks to David Gillespie Pratt for the correction, which was administered gently, and I'm appreciative. Thank you ever so much for listening to Happy Times and Places, which is presented by me, Toby Hadoke, and my special guest, Kat Armitage, who can be found on the internet at karmitage.com and on Twitter, KSArmitage, and via the medium of excellent writing for Big Finish. I'm grateful to Kat and to the patrons who make these podcasts possible. And they include Joel Aarons, Joanne Abbott, Keith Adams, Mark Aldridge, Kit Allen, Neil Allen, Jonathan Appleton, Sebastian April, Tilt Ariza, Radit Aritza, Simon Ash, Richard Alt, Richard Baker, Stephen Bamford, Simon Barker, Ollie Barrett, Andy Benison, Richard Bignell, Peter Blackett, Robin Bland, Gareth Bowley, David Brody, Hugh Buchtman, Tim Burrows, DC, Paul Carrington, Anthony Carroll, Damien Cartin, Phil Chapman, Ralph Chilton, Susan Christian, Steve Churchill, Kevin Clark, Mark Clues, and Graham Cluley. The music is by Dave Gates, the artwork by Dylan Patterson. I did the unusual thing of mentioning Patreon a few times in the body commentary. I don't normally do that. I try and keep the plugs till the end here. So forgive me. I know some people get really annoyed when you go, would you be prepared to spend money on my labours in this day of things being free? And of course, I'm more than happy that people listen to these things under whatever circumstances. And I know that most of us haven't got any money. So please continue listening away. But if you decide to go the Patreon route, I don't think I was very persuasive during what went on before, but there are advantages to doing it. You can listen to this earlier. Well, I mean, you can't. That's physically impossible, but you could have done. But yes, you get the Happy Times and Places about 6 months earlier, and the Too Much Information and Indefinable Magic podcasts a month or so before. It depends. It depends how busy I am. I'm currently ridiculously busy writing a book about Quatermass. Hey, I'll plug that as well. It's called The Quatermass Files Volume 1 and is being published by 10 Acre Films. I'm hoping by the time that this is out, it too will be out. But who knows, because Quatermass's experiments can go very wrong. I mean, that's the whole point. Anyway, if he'd had a Patreon, I'm sure he wouldn't have been shy about going, but yes, please, you get early access to doomed rocket flights, and you get exclusive fossil bones that give a key to your dodgy Martian-infused Genesis. But if you go up a tier, you can be played by a miscast American. Anyway, sorry. Because this is a plug for Patreon. This is what... Yeah, no. I don't know why. I don't know why I feel bad that I mentioned it during the entertainment itself. I suppose it's a bit like having a tagline running along the bottom of a drama. You don't want that. You don't want to be watching, a bit of Shakespeare. I'm not comparing Happy Times and Places to Shakespeare, although sometimes they can go on too long. So maybe no. I love Shakespeare, but I have sat through some quite long ones. Listen. Yeah, you don't want to be watching. The quality of mercy is not strained, and then a thing going along the bottom going, buy goose eggs for £1. I don't know why somebody would be advertising goose eggs during a production of The Merchant of Venice. Why were goose eggs the first thing? Is goose eggs... Yeah, geese must lay eggs. But do you eat a goose egg? Somebody might. I wonder if there's a reason that we don't. Well, there are fewer geese than chickens, aren't there? But they must lay eggs. Anyway, let's not get into that. I'm sure there's a Patreon for the Goose Egg podcast, but that is not mine. Mine is Toby Hadoke. No, it's not. It's patreon.com/Toby Hadoke. You get advanced material. You get bonus material. I mean, isn't this a bonus in and of itself? You get access to me. That doesn't sound quite how I meant it to. I mean, we do monthly AMAs. Well, I've been doing about 3 a month at the moment because I'm getting so many questions that people seem to like. I don't know why people are interested in what I have to say, but you have to kind of hope that they are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this right now. So look, yes, if you like the cut of my jib and enjoy this model of sort of supporting creatives that you particularly like, you can do that at patreon.com/Toby Hadoke. It starts from as little as £3 a month. You get a 10% discount if you sign up for a year. And as good as there, you get 3 releases a week and pictures of my dog. But I know that times are tough. I'm perfectly happy that people listen to these just that's what you do, because there's so much out there. The fact that you spend an hour and now 47 minutes in my company, I mean, really? Have you not? I mean, if you've read all of Thomas Hardy and George Eliot and William Shakespeare, and I mean, seen all of, I'd say all of Star Trek, and I mean, then maybe knit back, do the Quatermasses, Sapphire and Steel. Obviously, you need to have watched all of Doctor Who several times, and then listen to any number of podcasts that aren't this, and then go, all right, I've got an hour and 47 minutes to spend with Toby now. I could kind of understand that. Anything else, it does baffle me, but I am grateful because there are a few of you out there. So thank you. I'm doing my best to put you off. What am I doing? Anyway, and I think, was I in the middle of plugging something? Probably. I broke off from plugging it to go, I don't even know why you're here. But anyway, as you are, yes, that's right. If you're listening and you can't do the Patreon and you can't do Ko-fi, which is kofi.com/Toby Hadoke, which is a one-off payment. If you go, oh, I particularly like that one, I'll buy him a pretend coffee. You can do that at any point. I'm not sure you'll be doing it with this. I mean, I'd buy Kat Armitage a coffee on the strength of this because her contribution was marvellous. I'm invigorated by. I've never met Kat, but we had lovely email back and forth. And I love her enthusiasm and the tone of her, the enthusiasm in her voice. And I just had a really rewarding. It was really one of those. I'll ask somebody to do Happy Times and Places, and we had a lovely back and forth. And it's nice to encounter new people and to share somebody's enthusiasm. And I'm enthused, so I would like to thank you for listening, but also Kat for doing a particularly splendid contribution. Kindness of strangers. She made me feel good on a period of time when I'm working quite hard and you have self-doubt and all that sort of thing. And when somebody who's very, well, I was going to say when somebody's very creative, because Kat is a brilliant writer, but actually that is nice, but also just I don't necessarily see the need to validate somebody because they're creative and skilled. Actually, anybody, when somebody makes you feel, when somebody enthuses you or spends some of their positive energy in your direction, it's really nice. So I've had a nice time. And I hope you have too. And the long and the short of it, I've gone off several different offshoots there, haven't I, that were probably unnecessary. The main thing is the thank you for listening. And if you can't do the Patreon and Ko-fi or don't want to or whatever, I know, what costs you nothing. What costs you nothing is to go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give these 5 stars. That really does help. And to leave a bit of a review, it really does increase the impact of our. I don't know what it does, but it makes more people notice, and it makes me feel nice if people have said nice things. That's all I want. I just want to feel nice. It's been quite a hard month. It's been lots of it's all comparative, isn't it? But I've been working hard and had a few knockbacks. So go on, say something nice. Go on. I feed off your affirmation. It's pathetic, isn't it? Why don't I get a proper job and learn a trade? Learn a trade, Toby. Not too young to learn a trade. I can't even fold T-shirts properly. I was thinking this last weekend when I was doing my monthly. Oh, the clean washing's piled up. Let's put it all away. And I actually really tried folding a T-shirt. And I go to people's houses and I see their houses, shelves with designated things on the shelves, not just a load of things shoved on shelves falling off. Houses that don't have dust. I've got loads of dust. And I'm 49. And I've tried, but I can't fold a T-shirt. I'm not very good at making a bed, I try. Again, I try. I tuck those blooming sheets in, but they do sort of ride up. They do. So this is all I can do, really. So please listen. Oh dear. CV skills. Talking out loud in a room on my own about Doctor Who and hoping for the best. Well, there we go. I think I'll leave it there for today. Oh, no. No, because there's something I forgot to say. I used to do a pub quiz. I mean, I used to go to quite a lot of effort, setting and asking and doing it. And it's a rarefied atmosphere, a pub quiz, and it relies on, there's a bond between, there's a code between the quizzer and the quizzee. And I mean, I used to get really annoyed when people who weren't doing the quiz would shout out the answer. You'd be like, "Oh, come on!" I remember once a guy shouted out, and I did a real sort of comic put down on him, and everyone laughed. And then he got a bit angsty, and his mate came and said, "You shouldn't do that." And I said, "Well, all he had to do was not shout out the answer." He said, "Yeah, but you've got to give him a break because he's just come out of prison." And I was just like, "Then he should." Well, I said, "Well, if I had it my way, people would go to prison for trying to spoil pub quizzes." So he's just broken his parole. But anyway. Why am I still alive? Anyway, God, I don't think I was particular. I don't think I found it quite as funny at the time. It's just in retrospect, going, "Yeah, God, why that man should have killed me." Anyway, my point is, I know it's they're breaking a security system. And it's not strictly speaking a pub quiz, but I feel that actually 42 encourages people to phone their mums during pub quizzes, and I think that's actually deadly serious and the beginning of the end of civilization, that people using their phones and indeed the internet to win at a pub quiz, I think it's how the decline and fall of the Roman Empire began, actually, because there's so many issues of trust and of of self-satisfaction. What's the point in getting the prize if you know that you've colluded or or you cheated? Why even take part? I mean, I think it's a question that gets to the very core of our existence and humanity. So I hope you enjoyed your 42, but cheating in pub quizzes is the beginning of the end. Right, better walk the dog. I did that one because it was supposed to be a quick one. 2 hours. You're all mad.